Hi, everyone. My name is Malini Aberwal. I am the creative director and founder of MissMalini Entertainment and Girl Tribe by MissMalini. And first of all, I want to say I'm so very happy to be here virtually and speaking to a virtual room full of enterprising, amazing, hustling women, because that's what I love to see. And I really love to see women supporting each other. And so many have supported me on my journey. So I'm really glad to be here in whatever capacity. So I thought I'd start by telling you a little bit about my own journey. People always ask me if I had planned to be an entrepreneur, if setting up MissMalini as this media empire was always the plan. And I can tell you that it wasn't. I didn't know for a large part of my career what I wanted to do at all. I'll back up a little bit and tell you my father was an Indian diplomat, so I grew up from 0 to 17 in different parts of the world. And when I was 17, he retired, so we moved to Delhi. And there, my first job was being a professional dancer. I was a dancer for Sukhbir and a lot of these indie pop stars. And looking back, a lot of times you wonder about all the different careers you've done and do they fit together? And you feel, especially when you're starting out, that you must pick one career and stick to it. I can tell you now, looking back at all the different things I did, they actually really prepared me for what I was going to do down the line. So I'm going to tell you about all my different jobs and what I learned from them. So when I was a backup dancer, we would always have to be in sync in the choreography. So you actually learn a great deal of teamwork, because it doesn't matter how good a dancer you are individually. What really helps is if you're all in sync with each other. And I remember once we were dancing behind an indie pop star and he was wearing this big gold necklace and he knocked himself out. And all of us had to keep dancing. And I remember thinking, what are we going to do now? But it was one of those things where you really begin to rely on each other and you create a family of sorts. And I think that's something that going forward in my career, we kind of decided to do always and keep that as our company culture. Anyway, after that, I decided to try my luck in the digital world. The first .com boom had started in 2003. I joined MTV India, and I was very excited about the fact that my job was to write romance and sexuality content. My business card said channel head romance and sexuality. And my mother, who was very nervous about me moving to Bombay alone, was even more mortified that what is my daughter doing in Bombay? And I remember at that time, the first .com bubble actually burst and everyone was, not sure if the internet is going to be all as big as people thought it would be initially. So again, a lesson that I learned there is that sometimes things may be before their time, and it's good to learn them then because they will always circle back and come around. And what I always loved, and I always tell people, is that I've never only had just one job. When I moved to Bombay, I used to do my job at MTV. I started writing a gossip column in Midday called Malini's Mumbai, which looking back is almost like the first iteration of the blog. And I used to do a radio show on Go 92.5 from 6 to 9 p.m. called Horn OK Please, which was a drive time show. And I loved it. So whenever people ask me, I don't know what to do exactly in my career, I like all these different things. I say, do them all. And then slowly but surely, you'll get to know which ones you love to do, which ones you have to do, and which ones you really don't love to do. And that's how you will find your true passion. I've actually written a book called To the Moon, How I Blogged My Way to Bollywood, which kind of describes this whole journey. But if there's one key thing that I will tell you as a takeaway from that, is find your ikigai. And the way to do that is to answer these 4 questions. One is, what do I love to do? The second is, what am I good at? The third is, what can I get paid to do? And the fourth is, what does the world need? So if you can answer all those 4 questions, you're really on the path to finding your true passion. So I would highly recommend that. While I was doing radio and MTV, then I decided to switch to Channel V as their digital content head. So I was always doing something creative and something that was kind of my day job. And I started the blog actually as a complete a hobby. Back in 2008, I had gone to Dubai with some friends, and I was telling them how I really miss having enough space in my column in Midday, because they would always edit it down to which celebrity came with who and who left. And I didn't get enough space to write about all the things that I really loved. And so he said, why don't you start a blog? And I remember saying, what's a blog? And this was 2008. And he said, it's just like this online diary. And so I asked him, but who reads it? And he said, don't worry about that. And May 5th, he sent me a WordPress login and he said, okay, here we go off to the races. And I wrote my first blog. And there's been literally no looking back since. People always ask me how I made the jump to doing it full time. Well, for 2008 to 2010, for 2 years, I did it as my side hustle, my passion that I did from midnight to 2 a.m. And I had a day job to earn money and save money so that I could, when I wanted to, jump into this full time. You hear it a lot. A lot of people decide to save up money to do something they want, whether it's to study something, pursue something, or start a small business themselves. It's always good to create that nest egg so that when you start a passion project, you don't have to immediately worry, where's the money going to come from? Now a lot of creator content is, of course, marketing led and revenue led. But when I started, it was never about that. And I think that's kind of what created the connect. For me as well, because I wasn't looking at it like a business at all. And coming back to Ikigai, like I said, the fourth very important piece of Ikigai is, what does the world need? And that's where enters Girl Tribe. I've spent a lot of time in my life writing about entertainment and beauty and fashion and all the things I love. But I've realized the thing that I want to leave a legacy behind for is uplifting women. And I think a lot of times, and I'm sure a lot of you here will agree, that we get put into these buckets of Angry Girls Club or some NGO, or, only two topics or issues that women have are rape and menstruation. But that's not true, is it? Everything is a woman's issue: travel, food, mental health, my relationships, my job, sex, everything. So why not make empowerment sexy again, make it fun again? It doesn't always have to be serious. So I wanted to take all the years of what I've done in entertainment and sort of marry it with this beautiful community called Girl Tribe, which is now an app on iOS and Android. And I highly recommend you to come and take a visit, download the app, Girl Tribe by MissMalini, and experience it for two reasons. One, raise your hand if you've ever received a creepy DM. And I'm pretty sure everyone have raised their hands by now. And it's just one of those things where you realize that you want to create a space on the internet and have a world in a virtual world where you can use the internet to the best of your ability. And women are not able to do that sometimes because their inboxes and their DMs are full of so much junk. So we wanted to create a space that was safe, uplifting, empowering. And we have many tribes there that talk about all the different things that I mentioned. And my favorite thing is that on the Girl Tribe app, it's not about likes of followers. We have something called positivity points, where you can earn points for every good thing that you do when you start a conversation, or you leave a nice mindful comment on someone else's posts, and you can actually redeem that for actual products and experiences. And I just want people to reprogram themselves to stop thinking about the internet in terms of just numbers. I want you to unsee the numbers and see the people again. And I think that's the big social impact that Girl Tribe is going to have. And I really feel that when women come together to support each other, we can collectively really change the world. The other thing I'm really happy about is that we have partnerships like this that we're doing. We also allow you to come and sign up as a recruiter, post a job, apply for a job, literally anything that you want to do. And I want people to know that, we always say social media can be so toxic and it can be so negative, but at the end of the day, we are social media. So it's up to us to create the environment that we want to live in. And let's make our virtual world a happy, empathetic, kind one, a positive one. And that's really the mission with the Girl Tribe. I have seen that given the right environment and the right sort of, rules and ethics, people do behave in a wonderful way online. And I really look forward to welcoming you there. Thanks so much for having me.
Hi, everyone. Hope you all are doing good. It's nice to be able to speak to people and share about myself. So I'm Rashmi Mathur. I'm currently working as an engineering MD with Goldman Sachs. I am a people and technology passionate person who have really worked hard to where I am. I come from a very small town in Rajasthan and a very culturally active and associated person. So here's a little story about me, how I'm going to start on it. Are you going to be the hero of your own life, or are you going to leave that role for someone else? Now, this story is about myself, my life journey, from a small town to being an engineering MD at Goldman Sachs, after being associated with large technology organizations like Adobe, Visa, Barclays. I'm also a deputy director for IIMB Alumni Pune, and A little asterisk to it is I lost one of my eye to glaucoma during this journey of my career. I'm mother of two kids, 18 years old and 11 years old. Both were born cesarean. I'm sharing that specifically because many of you may be able to relate to that part as you move on in your careers. So how does the story begin? It actually started in 1994 in small town of Jodhpur, where my story starts with my admission in engineering in first attempt. And I would say it was my first baby step in technology, which comes at a tender age of 16 years. You're like happy-go-lucky girl. So I grew up in the small historic town of Rajasthan called Jodhpur, which is known for its rich culture and heritage. I did my initial schooling in a small district, Pali, which had only one English medium school. And again, our batch was first one to write board with the school. And the school was struggling to even get affiliations in 1992. Somehow they managed to get Rajasthan board, and my entire class had to study course material for 9th and 10th in just 8 months and be able to write the board. So that's how it started, with uncertainties and still building resilience in life. People say life is a marathon. I feel it's actually a race. It's a hurdle race where how we jump over small and big hurdles of our life. So that's how it is. I did my engineering from Jodhpur, and in Jodhpur, it is like your family, girls are not allowed to study out of the town. So I was admitted in Jodhpur Engineering College, one of the 21 girls in a batch of 350 plus. And I had taken civil engineering because that's what I got in Rajasthan. I had no idea of IIT entrance at that time because Jodhpur had no IIT. So I've been a very happy-go-lucky, culturally active, passionate about dance and music girl, and always done that. I had to change my branch in first year with rigorous effort, and I finally graduated in 98 with BE in electrical engineering. And here comes the second part. When you do engineering, you feel that, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that from a job perspective. But it was not common for girls to go for job outside even before marriage. So here comes, I got my first job as a government job in Rajasthan, in Jodhpur, my hometown again. And it used to be very prestigious to be having a government job. But I definitely had a lot of hunger in me to learn about new things, especially computers, which has started picking up the pace. Maybe big towns had it, but Jodhpur, Pali kind of small cities, they did not have it. So how do you learn? So my urge of learning took me to NIT Center, not to be a student, but a part-time time center manager and counselor, because I had good communication skills and an engineering degree, which was very respected. So I took this as an opportunity for learning, and it gave me free access to all the NIT material and computers, which I was not able to afford at that point of time. I did a lot of self-learning, wrote my first Java program, which seems like a wow kind of a moment. 1 year later, I got married and I came to Hyderabad. Again, my first Java program helped me. I wrote tests and cleared a programming interview. It was way back in 99 December. And that's the time it was like technology was booming, and it was like dot-coms coming up. So I got into the fascinating world of technology in a startup organization, learning hands-on everything. In my tenure in Hyderabad, I was diagnosed with cataract in a left eye, so young, like 22 years old. We did a surgery of our life. That was my first time that I realized that, oh, something is happening. But then it's like life just happens. It was like I did my surgery. I still continued to work. My husband and I have worked together, and we were actually together in Hyderabad, and we relocated to Bangalore also together, where we worked in Novel Bangalore, and till our son was born. I genuinely believe in the fact that make your partner your true partner. This has been mentioned by Sheryl Sandberg in her Lenin book, and I kind of relate to that almost all the time in my career. Now, with my husband traveling and with a very small kid at home, I always took all the possible help And I kept my temptation of being a perfect mother in control and trusted both my parents and in-laws. So I was never hesitant to ask for their help and respect them. So this is something, the more you can ask for help and give respect, you will get what you really want in return. So this definitely helped me. I continued to grow and on technology as I was very passionate. I got promoted in almost all my organizations, and my first promotion came in Integral, where I was promoted to next level as I challenged the status quo, moved an entire function from US to India, volunteered myself to take extra task as a leading a team along with my own work. So this actually was a very I would say very enterprising journey of being able to work with people. Some will accept you, some will not accept you. And this was the time I hit the second blow, I would say, that I lost vision in my left eye due to glaucoma. Series of surgeries had happened and they had failed. Everyone around me was of the opinion that I should stay away from computer, I should quit my job. But fortunately, to my rescue came my doctor and my husband both. My doctor said it is unrelated because it's a unilateral glaucoma in one eye. And this, again, in this also, an opportunity came to me in disguise, and my career of management kind of started. So I became a development manager and then grew to end-to-end business engagement and managing teams. I joined my EGMP from IIM Bangalore, which was sponsored by the company. Very happy time. And again, as always, comes another twist. I was expecting my second kid. Lot of thoughts and suggestions keep flowing in, saying leave the course or you will not be able to continue. Me being me, with the help of my family, I just went with the flow. So I continued with the thought saying that I leave when my health doesn't allow. But then I'm used to going for that extra mile, and I attended extra classes, combined studies, and really made very good friends during that time. Some people that I still can go talk, discuss my problems anytime. We had to take a 5-day course by going to college after my daughter was born. And being a feeding mother, I was not ready to let go of the course as well as being with her. So I took a room in IIM MDC, and with my nanny, Amaji, my daughter used to stay. And I would go meet her, feed her, make sure that I have both the worlds kind of taken care of. Family always come first for me. And I think I have learned how do we create an ecosystem around it. I used to even pick my son and drop to daycare for 2 years during my lunch hour. Those 15 minutes were the best bonding time that I have with my son, who is 18 years and now studying in Canada. After my daughter's birth, I got an opportunity to work in a very good organization at a senior role. And I had to let it go with a blink in my eye. With 3 months old daughter and 7 years old son, the company had a policy of no work from home and no flexibility. So that's something which I could not do, because for me, I'm very passionate about my work, but they all and equally passionate about family. So both of them go together. After my daughter was born, I actually thought about leaving the job, and I even left the job for some time to be with kids. But my husband sensed that that's not who I am. And then he actually motivated me and make sure that I attend for a few more interviews. And why I'm sharing this part is, and I got offered, why I'm sharing this is because this is a one phase which almost all female leaders get. And I have met many people in my career who have just passed that phase, and then sky's the limit. So I sincerely recommend that, yes, there are certain times those hurdles are higher or difficult, but it's our perseverance how we time. Here onwards, I actually grew into senior management roles, and I had taken a course of 7 Habits program by Stephen Covey. And I would say it has been a life-changing experience for me, because I actually implemented those changes. I genuinely realized the power of changing yourself, how to bring the changes in yourself rather than expecting it from others, how you change your thought process. The biggest learning is segregate people from problems? How do you make sure that in a situation you are always in the problem solving mode and not like why it happened? Yes, we will do that, but right now let's bring the solutions in. So being in technology, constant learning and evolving is the mantra for us. So I have really evolved from a waterfall era to the DevOps, and now we all are into cloud, Python, machine learning, and whatnot. Many a times I have really worked with very difficult counterparts, team members, peers. Uh, there were low and quitting moments, but today, since I'm on a high journey, I want to make sure that just keep yourself resilient, take a step back, sleep over the problem, as many people recommend us over our journey. I'm definitely a very emotional person, and I've gone through those lows in my career when uh, it was like not being treated the way I would expect it to be. But what kept me going was the learning spirit, able to change attitude and active listening. Many people are not able to get the feedback, but I developed that habit that if someone is saying, someone's perception is someone's reality. So I've also been through the time when I was an individual contributor growing, aggressiveness was a good trait as an IC. But the moment you grow, it becomes like a dominating behavior. So how do you create a balance between two? Metrics organization management. I've led people who are more experienced than what we have been. But I've always been open to experiment, even with the fear of failure. I'm really blessed to have good friends in my workplace. Uh, we have maintained relationship from past 15 years. These are biggest assets along with my family. Basically, a religious and a spiritual person who believes in keeping traditions alive and bring the next generation with our culture. So here I am. I'm a work in progress. I'm learning on a daily basis from everyone around me. And I'm trying to be truly candid in my experiences as I share with everyone. My only thing is be the hero of your own story. Don't leave this task for someone else, because you know who you are. You know what you can do. So that's the story. I would say be accountable for your actions and choices. Just own what you have decided for and go for it. Most important thing is be empathetic to yourself. Focus on your strengths. Focus on what you can do. Stop self-bullying. Don't always create a positive self-talk. There will be challenges. Everyone has challenges, but create positive self-talk. Like the way you motivate others when they are going through problems, make sure you motivate yourself also. Acknowledge and encourage yourself. Acknowledge what you have done. If you don't do it, who else is going to do that for you? And always stay by your words and commitment. That's something very, very, very important. Develop on your strength and stay true to your commitment. People should look at your brand for the commitments that you have done. Heroes do face pain, struggles. They have their own weaknesses, but it's not being superhero. It's not being a superhuman, but being your own strength. It's about learning from experiences and live each day compassionately. That's all I would definitely like to share with you. Thank you.
Question rules, take risks, and have lofty goals for yourself. Why am I saying all this to you? My name is Vijaya Rao, and I'm the CEO and founder of a company called TechBio. My journey actually in the career, in the software industry, for my own career, actually started about 2 decades back, precisely about 28 years back. And my aspirations at the time was pretty small. I wanted to finish my grad program here in the US, work for a few years, return back to India, and work for a nice paying job at an MNC. That's it. That was the small goal that I had. I didn't dream big, or I didn't have lofty goals when I started my career. You see, when we have aspirations like that, really small, and it starts showing some light, it makes us dream big. It shows us a promise that we can do better, which is why I actually encourage all of you, more so women, to dream big at the onset of your career. You do not have to do in piecemeals and then get to that final stage of where you want to be over a period of time. If you dream big and you have an action plan to make it happen, you can achieve a lot more early on in your career. That's just my own example and my own journey. As I started climbing up the corporate ladder and as I started mentoring more and more women, different backgrounds, different cultures, different countries, I saw a common theme. And that theme was women are hesitant to ask for help. They are hesitant to dream big because they have somehow this notion, by the way, I had that same notion, that we can't balance our career along with family. And that's right. It's extremely hard to balance, your family with your career. But that shouldn't stop you from dreaming even before you start or before you actually start or at the onset of your career. I say this because I found it very hard to balance both very early on. I always assumed that there is a magic formula to do that. And I was actually on the lookout for that formula, assuming that women that are successful or that were successful ahead of me had that formula. And I was trying to figure out what that is. As I became more mature, as I started learning more about how we do this, I also came to this realization that there is no perfect balance between the two. It is extremely hard, it's extremely daunting. There is no perfect balance. But what there is a prioritization that you fully control. What I mean by that is you prioritize your family and your career in a way that some days your family is your priority, some days your career is your priority. I remember very well those days when I used to put my kids to bed, log back in, work another 3 or 4 hours all the way up until maybe 2 a.m. to just get the work done, finish up the work before my next big presentation at 9 a.m. in the morning. That was my prioritization. I gave time to my kids and I actually still got some things done at a later time. Now, there are also some days that I would turn the phone off, I would not switch on the laptop and give all my time to my family and kids. As I started doing that, as I started feeling I can do both, as I set my priorities, I felt more in control. I didn't feel that helplessness. I don't know a mechanism to balance the two, so I'm going to give up one or the other. That just seems, hard. That just seems not effective. But when you actually prioritize, you achieve both, and you then get to climb up the corporate ladder as well, and you build your own career. Now, the one thing I will tell you is, as women, we also don't take enough risks, and we also don't showcase our skills, our work enough. We also assume, and that is somewhat of a culture for me because I grew up in India before I came here. And the culture always was that, you do your best, people will notice. And that culture either has shifted because of where I am or has overall shifted everywhere because I see that in other places as well. You do your job, you do the best you can, and then you also make sure that you're noticed. Make sure that you deserve what you think you deserve because of the work you did. Keep in mind, there is no right or wrong approach. Most times we have a method in our mind to go about and navigate our career path. Sometimes that works, sometimes that don't. And there are many factors to it. The more the more optimistic you are about your own achievements, both in the family and at work, you can achieve better and you can achieve a whole lot because it helps you keep yourself grounded. I will also talk to you a little bit about how one navigates their own career path. Back in my days, we didn't have a whole lot of options, right? Because there are only certain options. Lucky for me, I was in the software industry, so a lot of options were pre-presented to me because of just the industry I am in, or the industry I was in. Today, there are a lot more opportunities for girls, young girls in India and elsewhere, and they can choose a path that they are interested in and also have a lot of passion in, because that's very key. You have to like your work. And if you've heard me before in any other places that I speak, you will always hear me say, you have to have passion for your work. You have to have passion for your job. And that is very critical. The more we try to navigate our path with a very strict method to get there, it makes it harder for us to achieve it, because you're not open to different ideas, you're not open to different avenues, and you are also somewhat not flexible. Sometimes what also happens is things change, right? If you look at if I look at my own career and I say 20 years back, what did I do and what am I doing now? There's a lot between the two. And I also personally think that women are great leaders. We are a lot good at influencing than demanding or dictating. That actually helps a lot, because you can get a lot more done influencing someone than asking and demanding them to do. And that actually is a very key leadership quality as well, that I tell all the folks that I talk to, that I mentor, young girls, learn to be influential early on. You do not have to wait 20 plus years in your career to be influential. And the other thing I also, I am a big believer in that is, if life gives you lemon, make a lemonade. And that's the quote that I will leave you here with today. There are a lot of times in my own personal career that I have encountered obstacles, I have encountered problems, and I have always wondered why me and why these problems are coming to me. As I got better at handling them, I always looked at every obstacle as an opportunity to improve myself and to improve the way I handle it. It had worked out for me. And this actually resonates with a lot of women in the leadership roles here, at least, because I was mentored by one long time back. She was a chief operating officer at one of the companies I worked for very early on in the early 90s. And she always told me this, and she had this quote on her wall. It was a general quote that she had gotten from somewhere, that if life throws bricks at you, make a great foundation. And this is more true for women than anyone else. And that's what I will leave you here with today. Best of luck in your career. Wish you all the best, and thank you for your time.